All right, everybody. It's here. Big day is here. Washington Huskies face their first big roadblock to a special season in 2023. We've learned some things about the Huskies over their first 5 games. We've learned that they're a good team. We've learned that they're a very good team. We've learned that their offensive success from last season is carried over. We've learned that their defense is, in some ways, improved. But now we're really going to learn something tomorrow afternoon. Oregon Ducks, one of the best teams in the country, same record as us. We're both 5-0. They've been similarly dominant in most of their games, just like Washington has. And both teams are about to find out exactly where they stack up. This game is going to define whether you're here or here, right? Are you actually in that tier of teams that can make the playoff? Are you actually going to try to at least enter the conversation with a team like Georgia or Michigan? Or are you just, well, you're good for your conference, right? Like you'll make a bowl game, you'll make a good bowl game, you'll probably win double-digit games, you'll win most of your games, but maybe you're not actually as good as the best teams. You don't deserve the chance to prove yourself against Georgia and Michigan and Ohio State and teams like that. Which one is it? That's kind of the big question here. And that's what we're going to find out tomorrow afternoon. Now, first, I do plan on doing a watch along of this game on stream. Should be doing it right when the game starts at 12:30, and we're going to run on until about 4:30. I might do a I might be eating lunch during the early part of the game. That's possible, but it's going to be here on YouTube. I'll put up the stream a little later, and then tomorrow we will be doing the watch along. So hop on by if you want to see how I react to the game as it goes along. Stop on by if you just want to hang out and talk about stuff. Obviously, this is going to be a game that I'm going to be focused on. This is a monster game. It might not be our game of the year, but it's certainly in the conversation for our game of the year. And it's the first time we're going to find out if this team is just great or elite. So, hope to see you guys tomorrow. Should be a lot of fun. Should be a lot more interesting than our first 5 games. I can at least say that, right? Like, definitely that. So, you look at Oregon, they're they've had one bad game, right? Texas Tech. They probably should have lost that game. They found a way to win it with a defensive score, and they survived that. And all their other games have been boat races, not necessarily immediately. Like Stanford hung around. Stanford hung around on them, but they ended up winning that game 42-6. So whatever. They beat Colorado 42-6. Colorado's really the only good team Oregon's played. And I think we've all learned that while Colorado is good, they have massive weaknesses that a good team can easily exploit, and there's just nothing they can do about it. So you've got that. Other than that, they've played what? Portland State. They've played Stanford. They played what was it? Was it California? They haven't played anybody other than that. Washington. I mean, I don't even know who our best opponent is so far. We haven't played a team as good as Colorado. I'll put it like that. So Oregon's cut their teeth pretty well. They've had, like I said, the one bad game. They should have lost to Texas Tech. They barely escaped. Kind of like how we didn't play so great 2 weeks ago against Arizona. We didn't play a great game against Arizona. We escaped because we're a much better team. I think that's kind of what Oregon did when they played the Red Raiders. So, a lot of similarities between these two teams. Both teams have a prolific quarterback prospect in this upcoming draft, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. They do things differently. Bo Nix is a guy with a cannon arm and great ability to run, great ability to use his legs, great mobility. Penix is more of a point guard type, somebody who stands back there and just wings it. Bo Nix is somebody who runs with power. Penix is somebody who rarely uses his legs anymore because he doesn't need to. Not that he doesn't have it, doesn't really need to do it that much anymore. Bo Nix, not accurate, does not have an accurate arm at all. That's the one thing he's missing. Penix, obviously, very accurate. So Both guys are great in their own way on a college football scale, of course. Um, but they both bring a lot of positive things to the table, and this is going to be a game that may very well determine who becomes, I want to say, QB4 in this upcoming draft, right? Because you've got Caleb, you've got May, you've got Quinn Ewers, and then you have probably one of these two guys as QB4. And it's also going to go a long way in determining Heisman Trophy candidacy. Whoever wins this game is going to have a much stronger Heisman case at the end of the year. I don't know if anybody's beating Caleb, but you got to get on the list, right? The only way you'll beat him is if you get on the list first. So that's obviously big. Both teams have playmakers on offense. I think ours are probably a little bit better, but I will say this. The Oregon Ducks have a better running game than we do. They've run the ball very well so far this year. And some of that is because they're always ahead, so they're running the clock out in the second half a lot, but they're averaging 7 yards a carry. So they're more balanced than the Huskies, I'll say that. We have better receivers. We have maybe the best receiver room in the country with McMillan, who should be back, Odunze, and Jalen Polk. I don't think Oregon has receivers like that, but they do have good playmakers that can execute that offense. They've obviously got a big upgraded coach from Cristobal with Dan Lanning. He's been good for them so far. And they've got that great offensive line. These are two quarterbacks that almost never get sacked. It's like seeing a unicorn to see Bo Nix or Michael Penix get sacked at any point. And both guys are just showcasing absolute mastery of their offensive systems right now. So it's probably going to be a very explosive, firework-laden game. Penix may throw for 500 yards. Oregon may have 600 total yards of offense. I don't know exactly how this is going to go, but this is going to be fascinating and educational for not just these two teams, but everybody out there who's intrigued by these quarterback prospects. So you've got that stuff going on with the offense. Defensively, Oregon, they've got some good players, and they played relatively well so far this year, right? Like, they destroyed Colorado. They dominated most of their weaker competition. The one team that gave them problems was the Red Raiders. And you look at that game and you think, okay, Washington should be able to throw, 45 to 50 points on Oregon. Question is 45 to 50 points going to be enough? Not necessarily. Oregon is fully capable of putting up 50 to 55. So you're just going to have to keep scoring in a game like this. Oregon, they've got Brandon Dorless. They've got Jordan Birch, two guys on their defensive line who I like. They've got a couple other decent playmakers, but overall, it is a team that just wants to overwhelm you with offense and hope that's enough to win the game. So you have to bring your big boy pants. You can't be messing around like we did 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, the offense kind of slipped and fell and barfed all over themselves at times. It was not a good game. It was not a good game by the Huskies offense by their standard. If we play like that against Oregon, they're going to build up a lead that we cannot overcome. They're going to be up like 50 to 30 at some point, and we're not going to be able to overcome that deficit. So this is like a real litmus test for these guys. That's really all I can say about it. The defense, they can make a play or two, maybe, but they are not going to win this game. This defense, it's got good players, just like Oregon has a few good players. We have a few good players. We got ZTF, we got Braylon Trice, we've got Tuplio2, we've got some guys that I like. We got some guys who are going to be on the map when draft season comes around for sure. But I don't believe for 1 second this defense is going to be able to consistently stop Oregon. So it's going to be a shootout, touchdown, 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 touchdown. Going to be one of those. I have no doubts about it. And we're going to know. We're going to know at the end of this game how good Washington actually is. We're going to know which of the, there's probably going to be one Pac-12 team that makes the playoff. And we're just going to have to start narrowing things down until we figure out which team it's going to be. And the sad reality is, in a game like this, it's very possible it comes down to random chance, right? When you have two offenses like this going up against defenses that are just kind of okay, it could just come down to who has the ball last. So There's certainly a level of nervousness going into the game because of that, but it is what it is. That's how college football works sometimes. Um, I will admit, when we went into the season, I thought Oregon was going to be having a little bit of a rebuilding year. I thought maybe they would be like a 9-win team. They've been better than that so far. They've been better than I expected. Granted, they played one good team, and that one good team has great flaws, but if if there's a year when you should feel like you should beat Oregon, it should be this year because you're at home, you're coming off a bye. I know Oregon is too, but you have the advantage. You were able to beat them last year in Oregon, in what do they call it, Autzen? So this is a game that, as a Huskies fan, for the first time in a long time, I go into as a Huskies fan thinking my team should beat the Ducks. That doesn't happen often. It's happened maybe 2 or 3 times during the Chris Peterson era, and before then you'd have to go way, 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 way back. Back before Oregon was a powerhouse, probably. So I can say all these things. I can give Oregon all these compliments. They have this amazing offense. Bo Nix is playing great. They're balanced. They can run the ball. System is awesome. Their defense does have a few studs, even if the defense overall is not necessarily great. But none of that changes the fact that I expect to win. And this is the opportunity that Washington has to take advantage of, playing at home against one of the best teams on the schedule. All right. That's really all I can say about this one, guys. Like, I can talk about all these things, but at the end of the day, Washington needs to prove they are deserving of the hype. And if they're worthy of the hype, I think they are going to win this game. All right, see you guys later. Bow down to Washington. Stream tomorrow. See you there.